Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Through Their Eyes. Today, we're going to be talking about the pressures of young adulthood. My name is Emily, and I'm going to let my other co host, Anvi, introduce herself. So, Anvi, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Present.
Hi everyone, I'm Unvi. I'm the other co-host, and today we're going to be talking about the pressures of young adulthood. So, Emily, start us off.
I feel like this is such a good topic, and I'm kind of excited to get into it, especially as someone in her early 20s. I was actually talking to Unvi about this literally seconds before we went on air, but I digress. Yeah, I just feel like your early 20s is just such a confusing time. Specifically, I feel like when you're still a teenager, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, legally, I'm a kid. You know what I mean? So it's like you still in a way feel like a child even if like mentally you don't feel like it legally and like everyone is still telling you and developmentally like you're still a kid. But I feel like what's so unique about your early 20s is just the fact that you're not a kid anymore, but you're also so early into adulthood that you have no experience as an adult. And it's annoying because everybody's constantly being like, well, you're an adult now, like you need to like do things for yourself, but you're also like, okay, well, I don't know how to do things for myself, I need help because you literally have no basis. Like, you're just kind of an adult now, and you're just kind of like, "Okay, well, I was 19, like, last year, I was a teenager and now I'm like not a teenager and then I can't legally drink and then you're 21 because I'm 21 and you're like okay like I can technically do most things but I can't run a car, so you still feel weird but you also live in a dormitory with other people your age, and then it's this whole thing, and it just feels awkward because when you're around older adults you still kind of feel like they're an adult, like, they know better, like, you feel that power and balance with them because you're like, "They know so much more than me," especially when, like, they're, like, a decade plus older than you because then it's kind of like, "Oh, they're my parents' age," sort of, or they could be my parent, like, that sort of thing. But yeah, like, it's just such a weird state of mind to be in.
Yeah, I could bet. I mean, like, you're on your own and you're probably like at least a few minutes away from home, if not like hours or miles or countries away from home, like living on your own, having to work. Like Emily was telling me how she has like an internship next semester, but also has like
Yeah.
5 classes, along with like working a job and having like all these papers she has to write. Like it's like a glorified version of being a teenager, and that's kind of scary because it's like as a teenager, girl, I have no idea what I'm doing. Everything's kind
Same.
of just like, yo, what's happening? So to feel like that, but also be independent and also in charge of like the majority of things I have to do in life, that's like a lot of pressure. And Emily, like, how do you feel about that, like personally?
It's so weird at first because I'm not gonna lie, my first 2 years of college, I lived at home. So and I have Hispanic parents, and if you guys have Hispanic parents, like, you know your parents are strict. So, for me, I was still 20 years old, and my mom was still calling me at 7 PM being like, "Where are you? You need to come home. Like, the sun is setting." And meanwhile, I'm, like, at the library, like, fighting for my life because I have, like, a 10-page research paper due, and I'm just like, "I can't deal with this right now." Like, it's just this whole thing, and then I think that and then as well as and then when I moved out, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those things where you adjust so fast. It's really weird. And I think for me, it also helps the fact that I'm not that far from home. I'm like an hour and like 15 from my like actual like parents' house. So it's not anything where I'm like across the country. Honestly, I feel like for people who literally go across the country to go to school, like I can't imagine genuinely how anxiety like ridden that must be, like, that is so scary, and it's crazy because I actually wanted to do that. I wanted to go to NYU, but then my parents were like, "Absolutely not, you're not going to NYU," so I had to withdraw my application, but that's besides the point. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's you adjust quick, but it's like it is so paradoxical in the breath that, like, you feel like a kid in so many ways, but then it's like you're expected to, like, act like an adult, and it's like you try to follow suit as much as you can, but it almost feels like you're playing, like, this game of imposter.
Oh yeah. Like, cause you kind of feel like you're in someone's like body, but it's not really yours. 'Cause I don't know, I just imagining, like, myself in what, like, 2 years and then getting, like, my college like letter and then going to a completely new place with new people and then having to survive on my own. That seems like so terrifying. But as you said, like, yeah, going across the country to like what, like UC Berkeley, NYU, that's so scary to pay for your own things and be so far away from home. Like, I can't imagine that. You pay taxes, don't you?
No, I do not pay
You don't
taxes.
pay taxes?
I'm very privileged and my parents pay for my school. So, yeah.
Oh, wait, that's another thing, like, people who are less fortunate, they have to pay for school on top of all of those burdens, which is even worse, like, medical bills if they have, to pay for those, like, oh, yeah, that's wow, that's another layer that I didn't really think of initially, paying for all.
Yeah, because I do have, like, a few friends who they do pay for their own things, not entirely because I feel like to be self-sufficient in college is nearly impossible, honestly, especially because more than likely you're making minimum wage or you're working a campus job, so really you're not making more than, like, 15 an hour because that's minimum wage in Maryland, because I think our cost of living is higher, I think. Don't quote me on that though. But, yeah, minimum wage is like 15 an hour here. Rent on average is between 1.5 to 2K. So, yeah, like it's kind of hard to like do that and then pay for your tuition. And I go to a school where tuition shockingly isn't that much. I think tuition for us is 10K a semester without FAFSA. Yeah, so it's not terrible. That's in-state, I think. But I think
Oh,
for UMD no, UMD is around the same, I think. But I know for some colleges, like, it's like 20K without aid, like, in-state or something like that, which is so insane to me. But, yeah, like, I just can't imagine, like, having to just that load being completely on you as, like, an individual, like, that is so terrifying. On top of that and then more than likely, like, you're gonna need your car. Like, you need a car. We don't live in freaking Italy where you can just ride around in a Vespa, like, we don't live there. You need a car 'cause, like, we know the US is just not walkable. Like, this is not Gilmore Girls, like, you can't just, like, promenade around or whatever, like the French say, I don't know, but, yeah, and it's just like it's really just thing after thing after thing, and it's not something that's manageable for someone who's 18, 19, 20. Like, that's so difficult, especially because you're expected to do already so much, like, being a full-time student is already, like, hard enough, and on top of that, it's like it's really rare that people are just a full-time student. Like, they're doing internships, they're doing extracurriculars, like, there are things that you're doing outside of school, and then if you are having to work full time, which I know that some people in my classes do. I don't know anyone personally who works full time, but I know like some people in my classes have before in the past, and I just can't imagine like what that's like. Like it's just it's stressful.
yeah, definitely. I don't know, what I'm trying to imagine right now is just, like, seeing a high schooler, um, but, like, now you're in charge of all of that. Because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, high school is so hard," you're trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to do all of those things, and it feels like college is like this leveled up version of high school, but then just, like, 3
Yeah.
times harder, and I feel like that's not talked about enough because as a high schooler, you hear everyone being like, "Oh my gosh, I have senioritis, I just really wanna go to college, I wanna get out of here, blah, 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 blah," and it's like, well, it doesn't seem much better. I feel like now it's more of now you're paying for all of these things and you have to live on your own and you have internships and you have extracurriculars and you have all of these things to go to grad school if you do choose to go to grad school. And then if you don't choose to go to grad school, well, now you have to go and figure out how you're going to get a job after this. And then the job market is like its own thing. And it's like, wow. And then after that, you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to start like doing investing or how am I going to go and do all these things like buying a house, getting a car, as you said. A lot of people don't have that privilege. And I noticed that even in, like, smaller colleges, let's say Davidson, for example, yeah, it's a little bit more small and, like, it's a little bit more walkable, but at the same time, you might need a car to at least, like, visit your family or go to the grocery store maybe. But I don't know, it just seems like that's a lot of, a burden to carry, especially as someone who has, like, an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex most likely.
No, literally. And I think even aside from the logistical things, emotionally, it's just such a weird time. I'm not gonna lie, because I remember being 19 and just being like, "Okay, technically I'm an adult, but I literally still feel like a kid." And I'm not gonna lie, the jump from high school to college, like, I don't even know how to explain. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Not even the other day, honestly, probably like 2 days ago, I'm not even gonna lie. But I remember, like, thinking I was, like I feel like from ages, like, 15 to 18, I didn't really feel that different, like, emotionally or anything. It kind of felt like I was the same overall, and I think I was really sad during that time period just because I think I just had so much lack of variety, and literally my life felt like it was the same for those 4 years. Like, circumstantially, realistically, like, nothing had changed for me. I was in the same place with all the same people. Like, yeah, things were going to change, but at that given time, like, my circumstances had not changed at all. So it just everything felt sort of mundane. And then now I think about 19 to 21, and even though there are only 2 years between, like, those ages, I genuinely feel like a completely different person. It is so weird, and to think that can feel that way only in a span of 2 years compared to literally feeling like the same person for legitimately, like, 4 years of my life. It is so crazy, and you don't even feel it until you genuinely reflect on it.
Yeah, definitely, but also, like, the different roles you're given for, like, the different ages you are, like, 18, you can vote, you can, like, live on your own, you're an adult, that's when you go to big girl jail and all of that stuff, and then when you're, like, 20, you have different responsibilities, 21, that's when you can actually start to go and drink and whatnot, and it's like, the higher you go, the more responsibilities are, like, added to you, and it's just like, dang, it's like, wow, I feel like that's just a really big jump for just only a year or 2 of difference. But as you said, you feel very differently between those years than you did high school. Is there, like, a specific reason why other than, you felt, like, the same? Was it, like, the same mundane thing, but then in, like, college, you're changing constantly, or
Honestly, I can't even explain it other than you feel different. Like, there are specific emotions that I can pinpoint. Like, I feel like now I genuinely do think about my life as an adult, which is like I did not think about as a teenager at all. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I was a teenager, I like could not care less about what I was doing next month. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like whatever about everything. But now that I'm older, it's like I care so much about everything. And in the same way I sort of do now as a teenager, but just like I didn't think about my life outside of high school. Like everything at that given moment felt like it mattered the entire world. Which is, like, not something that I feel anymore, which is so weird. Like, if something small kinda happens, like, I get, like, upset about it, but it's not how it felt when I was a teenager where it kind of meant the whole world. Like, now I'm like, "Okay, life goes on," after a certain point. But when I was a teenager, like, everything meant everything. But now it's like, I don't feel that way, and then also, like I was saying, like, I think about my future so much more. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not sure if it's, like, the same for you. Like, I'm sure for you, like, I feel like you're a bit more future oriented than I probably was, like, at your age, I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah, now I think about my future, like, I think about the fact that, like, I'm literally going to be, like, a real adult, and also the fact that, like, I'm gonna have a family one day, like, that's so crazy to me, and I'm just like, "Wow," like, one day, I'm not gonna be living with my parents, and it's such a surreal feeling, and then also, for some reason, when I was 19, I, like, developed this feeling of just, like I don't even know how to explain it. It was, like, such a weird feeling where I, like, wanted to, like, do a job where, like, I just, like, could care about people. Like, that I wanted to do that so desperately, and I wanted to do nursing for a while because I was like I just had this, like, weird, like, feeling of, like, I wanna help people, and I just wanna take care of people, and I wanna feel like my life has meaning and, like, I have this sense of community, and, like, I'm just genuinely helping people. Like, I wanna feel like I'm taking care of someone. Like, it was so weird, and for some reason, that feeling just developed when I was 19, and it has never left, which is why I wanna work with kids now. But, yeah, it was such a weird, like, sort of thing, and, like, it's one of those things where, like, you see yourself changing sort of, like, with the seasons, I guess, and it's, like, so weird. But have you experienced, like, anything similar?
Actually, I have, like, I think I've always had this, I guess, theme of what I wanted to do, like, ever since I was a kid, I was always like, "I'm gonna go into politics, I'm going to go into law," or, like, some type of thing, not really because I wanted to go and, like, debate people and be like, "You're wrong, I'm right, I'm gonna be Marco Rubio," or something, like, I was never like that, or I didn't really wanna be like Brett Cooper and have her, like, podcast. I don't know why I'm, like, naming all conservative people, anyway,
Lol.
but, like, I always just wanted to go into it because I remember, like, distinctly this one memory, like, my dad, he was, with me in the car, and we were, like, driving down, like, a highway, right? And then we got into this, like, smaller road, and then I saw, like, all of these, trees being cut down, like, urbanization, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" I was, like, 4 at the time, I didn't know what was happening, and then my dad was like, "Oh, yeah, that the trees are getting cut down." I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Well, the mayor wants to help with urbanization and et cetera, et cetera." And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna be the mayor so that the trees can live." And it
That's
started
so cool. Wait, I'm sorry, but why is it Loki giving Lorax?
No! Oh my gosh, I'm gonna grow a mustache, guys. But honestly, that's where it started, and, like, now I've just kind of considered that, like, a part of me, and that's kind of like a theme. Like, if you see around my room, there's, like, all of these flags and whatnot, and, like, there's, like, a huge American flag over my bed, like, guys, and there's, like, different maps and everything. But I feel like that's always just been a common theme, but the thing that really pushed me is like what exactly I wanted to do with that theme. It's always been there. It's just like how exactly do I want to, go with it? And I think now it's definitely like I want to just be here and help my country. And I think one of the things is really just education. Like I feel
I
like
agree.
yeah, growing up in, the United States and like being where I am right now, it's like I want to advocate for education. I want to advocate for these things. I want to help my country become the best it can, possibly be. Um but also, maybe go into foreign policy. So because like I think one of the things we're learning right now in AP government is basically how the United States is influenced by like foreign countries, foreign nations, all of that. And then I was like, oh, what if I go into like foreign policy or like international affairs for like a bachelor's degree, go to law school or something like that, so I can have like a background in like how other countries work, so that when I do get involved, I'll like figure it out. But I don't know, that's just me. A question for you, Emily.
Mhm.
Do you think because you had like a change in environment from like when you were, living with your parents all the like time, like 18 years straight up, just always living in your house, going through the same routine, when you finally broke that, do you think that's when all the revelations started like, coming in? Or would you say it's like different?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, 100% because even though I was still living at home with my parents, I was alone, like, for the majority of my day. And even when I did get home, my parents were awake for, like, 3 hours because I was always getting home, like, at night, and my parents would go to bed because they have work. So, it was always literally just me. So, I feel like when I had free time, I had so much time to literally just be my own person. I was just in and of itself just by myself, and I was able to sort of just observe myself and even observe my own thoughts without having someone almost in a way, like, dictating for me, like, how life should be or dictating how things are. I just felt like truly I could just experience the world in my own light, and it's honestly such a good feeling, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things where I feel like if I were a teenager and I experienced that, I would've been so overwhelmed, but I feel like once you get to that point developmentally, you're just like, "Okay, so this is who I am." And even now that I'm on my own, I literally just feel like it's just me, like, I can't even explain it, like, it's just such a weird feeling. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, I can't even, like, relate to, like, but I sound like such an old head, but I'm like, you will see what I mean. Like, you will see what oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying that. That's so gross. But yes, you will see what I mean, like, in
I
a few
see what you
years.
mean, Emily. Oh my gosh, you're becoming like one of those like grandmas, like back in my day, this, and this. But it's actually kind of funny you mention it. Like the whole like I guess stereotype for teenagers, especially like in the 90s and like early 2000s, it was always like, I'm a teenager, I want like that independence, I want all of that. And it's like, I feel like even though as teenagers we want that, when we finally experience it, it's kind of just like, oh, wait, like that's a big burden. Like, even though we want certain things, it's kind of just like the moment we get it, it's like that overwhelming feeling. And I feel like that's just a stereotype that is put on teenagers, but I feel like nowadays, I don't think a lot of us really want that anymore. A lot of us are more like keen to just be with our parents or like have some freedom, obviously. But I don't know. I guess it's like the world is getting a little bit more I don't know if it's the world or it's our generation necessarily, but like one of us, like either the world is getting too difficult to live in or like, we're becoming too sensitive to certain things. I'm not really sure, but I've just noticed like now we don't really want that much independence. And by we, I mean like the teenagers I've talked to and come into like, contact with and like spoken about or not about, but like, to. all of them are just like, "Well, I wouldn't really mind being a little closer to home and, like, having my parents do XYZ for me, or I wouldn't mind, having a little bit more dependence on them." I feel like it's kinda like they're our fallback, and that's why we want to have that because it's, like, a scary time.
I totally agree. It's definitely a mix of both. Honestly, off the top of my head and thinking about it, it's definitely a mix of both because same thing when I was in high school. I think it's just a Gen Z thing. I think it's a generational thing because I even see TikTok sometimes where parents will be like, "Oh, me when I was, like, 15 and I was, like, partying and being crazy, and, like, my daughter, like, won't even, like, go to freaking, like, Target without, like, telling me or asking me to go with her." And I'm like, "That is so wild," just to see that just distinction between, like, the generations. Because 'cause I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the millennials were wild. Like, the millennials were wild during their time, and I feel like Gen Z is just like, no, like, I'd just rather be in bed. Like, everyone I know is like, "Oh my god, I'm, like, such a homebody," and I'm like, "Okay," like, it's definitely a generational thing. Like, definitely because I think that's, like it's literally a thing where, like, people don't go out anymore. Like, people don't go to, like, bars, like, they don't really drink as much. Like, I think Gen Z I think it's, like, a thing where, like, Gen Z doesn't really drink alcohol. I mean, I know I don't drink,
Yeah.
so I'm like and I honestly, now that I think about it, none of my friends drink either. So, I don't know if,
Mm. Maybe
but
COVID has something to do with it, because like, I remember in, like, COVID, a lot of people were kind of, like, getting used to staying at home, and maybe, like I don't know, I feel like life was just a bit more chill, and it was, like, a little less chaotic. Of course, like, COVID itself was chaotic, but, like, being at home all the time like, I was in 5th grade back then, so I don't really remember much, but I know a lot of people, like, continued to, have their post oh my gosh, during COVID routines. Like, my
lol.
dad, he was, like, supposed to go to office and whatever, and then he just works from home, like, now because of COVID, and a lot of people I've noticed, they used to go to, like, parties and whatnot, and now they're just like, "Nah, we can just, like, have, like, a FaceTime call or a group call or something like that." And I
Yeah.
mean, like, go them, but, like, I feel like maybe COVID has had, like, at least a little bit to do with it. But
No,
it's also
100%. Oh, sorry, I cut you off, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I was just basically saying, like, yeah, it's probably also a generation thing. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's like the internet and now we have like everything at our like fingertips, but I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I got a mini mic and now I keep interrupting people because 'cause I'm, like, stealing all the spotlight. But, no, I totally agree, and it's funny because we always circle back to COVID, but literally COVID has done, like, so much damage. Like, even I keep using filler words, oh my god. Even besides emotionally, like, there's just so many things that COVID has done, and we always circle back to it, but literally the ramifications of it are insane. And it's so crazy to think about because sometimes I think about what the world would be like if COVID just didn't happen. You know that one meme with, like, the dolphin, like, going over the rainbow? Like, that would literally be life if COVID never happened. That would literally
Wait, yes, yes, it would. Oh my gosh,
wait,
do
let
you
me
remember
pull it
that
up.
one song? There was like a song that they were like singing about like in COVID. I don't remember what it is, but it was like that. Oh my god, it was like so popular, and I remember like hearing about it. I don't even remember, but there was like this one song, and it was like so popular, and everyone was like talking. It was like about like staying at home and like homebodies and stuff. I don't know if that was just, like, a North Carolina thing or, like, that was a whole, like, nation thing, but there's just this one song that everyone was singing. I was like, "Oh my gosh." It's, like, stuck in
Me
my head. I don't know the name.
I should know because 'cause I'm so chronically online, but this is literally life if COVID never happened, guys.
Oh my gosh, we're like dolphins swimming happily,
Have you
literally.
seen that? It was like that, like, whole thing, and then the sound was like
Oh my god, the sound! No, the sound was so goofy. Oh my god.
no, literally, life that would literally be life if COVID never happened. But, yeah, no, and then what else was I gonna say? Because like, oh my god, me when I lose my point. But, yeah, like, I think about that, and then there's another point I also wanted to bring up in relation to, like, the pressures of, like, growing up. Um, oh, the whole, like, susceptibility to there was no. There was a really good point that I wanna bring up. I was actually thinking about this last night, where I feel like there's just so much of, like there's just such a lack of liberty around growing up. And everyone kind of marks this period of your life as, "Oh, this is your time to explore and to try things out." But realistically, nobody really gets the chance to do that. I mean, some people are lucky and they do. And I feel like for most people, it is a financial thing where financially they can't do the things that they truly wanna do. I know so many people who wanna go into art but they're like, "That's not gonna make me any money." And then I also come from a family who is, like, bending over backwards to support me financially. So, they feel like they can't go into the arts because they want to be a bit more financially stable than how they were brought up. And then I always thought, like, largely it was the financial component. Like, I know, like, for a lot of people, I know me as well, like, a lot of people who come from, like, what is it? Like, immigrant families, like, their families have, like, expectations for them to get a good paying job so that they don't repeat that, like, cycle of poverty, and I thought largely for the longest time it was just a financial thing, but then I actually watched this TikTok probably, like, 2 days ago by, like, Becca Bloom. Do you know her? That, like, one chick who's, like, super rich?
Oh my god, yes, I do.
Mhm.
I've watched, like, a few videos of her, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, okay."
Yeah, she was saying how when she went to college, like, her family expected her to go into finance or she would lose out on her trust, and I thought that was really interesting because I was like, "Wow," like, even when you, like, come from a family that's well off, like, sometimes you also still don't you're not allowed that liberty or that freedom because there's there's, like, still that issue, but in a different way, where they expect you to maintain the family's reputation, or they expect you to sort of maintain a certain image or lineage or just a specific pattern or to fit within yeah, like, I was really just about to repeat myself, fit into, like, the image that they've curated for themselves, like, as a family, especially being so that they're affluent, and I just think that's so interesting because it's like, no matter what you do, you're just at such a vulnerable age where it's supposed to be the time where you're discovering yourself, but realistically, how many of us actually get that opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. And I also wanted to bring up like the point of socialization to help with that. Like, especially in different communities, like I can speak on, the Asian community. We tend to have a socialization where you need to be a doctor or an engineer. Lawyers are a hit and miss. If you come from a more affluent family or, your family is I guess either a victim of political corruption or they have gained a lot from political corruption, they want you to be a lawyer because they know, like, if you are politically corrupt, at least you're making money, and if they are, already in the whole business of, like, politically corruptness, then it's like, "Okay, yeah, we already know you can make money, so why don't you do it?" But it's like that political social not political, that, like, socialization of, like, jobs in general, of just engineer, doctor, lawyer, that's all you can be, so do it. Because they want you to make money, they don't want these basket weaving, or whatever degrees. They want you to be one of the 3 because they know these will make money, and they know that, these things are gonna cause you to be stable. I feel like that's just a lot of pressure, especially on the kids of my generation now or, like, first, generation kids in the United States. Because it's like, now you have all the pressures of, like, adulthood, and now you can't even choose your own life path because you're so busy, going into one of the 3 jobs. But I feel like the negative impact of that is now we have, like, an inflation like, if we had, more people going to those jobs, now we'll have an inflation of those jobs or, like, specific areas, they're more rich, like, in those areas, you tend to see more affluent people, and more affluent people tend to go to more, affluent jobs, which is like doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then we have an inflation of those jobs, and we don't have enough jobs for, like, other things that we need. So it leads to, like, the job market being completely skewed, and then the jobs that we do have, that's, like, a lot of competition. So, like, when you actually need to go to, like, grad school or you need to, like, figure out your life plans for, like, those jobs, great. Now you're competing with a bunch of other insecure and, like, in pain young adults who also want the same opportunity, and that's, like, another burden placed on you, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree, and it's funny that you bring up the whole surplus thing because there's literally a surplus of lawyers right now. That's legitimately why one of my friends isn't going to law school anymore because there's a surplus of lawyers and it's so incredibly competitive. And then also ironically enough, I saw this other TikTok the other day. Oh my god,
Girl,
sorry,
TikTok
TikTok.
head. Okay, it's okay, we still love
Yeah, I'm so chronically online, but I saw this TikTok where this girl was saying that she was in school to be an ultrasound tech, and a lot of people are going into, like, the medical field, but not I mean, there are a lot of nurses, don't get me wrong, but specifically jobs like ultrasound techs, I can't think of anything else that's, like, akin to that, but you guys get the general gist of what I'm saying. There's a surplus of people going into those jobs because a lot of people chalked it up to be something that makes a decent amount of money, but is still relatively like a low maintenance job. And so there's a surplus of people apparently in that field as well, because there's so many people who are like, okay, well, I want to do that because they want to make the money, but they also don't want a job that's extremely demanding in the same breath. Because realistically, it's like who wants a job that's extremely demanding? Like people want to enjoy their lives. At least I know I do. But yeah,
No, definitely, like, especially in high school, you see, like I think our school is just so STEM kid oriented, like, there's very little people who wanna go into the liberal arts, and then the liberal arts are literally just poli-sci, not even, like, anything,
yeah,
it's just poli-sci. Like, I was talking to Emily, about this and whatnot. But I was like, oh no, this was actually I talked to you guys about this too. But international affairs, foreign policy, a lot of people don't really want to go into that because it just doesn't make that much money off the bat. Like it's just not a well-paying job. Everyone wants to go into poli sci, and that's like especially when you're getting into colleges, like that whole process of that part of like I guess like teenager to adulthood transition. Getting into colleges, that's gonna be a lot harder too because of your major. Like, the poli-sci seats, they're all gone. The, pre-med seats, they're all gone. Like, comp sci, that's all gone. But I know, like, what people are doing now is, like, to still have, like, fun, but also, to get into the colleges they want. They're going into, like, these really niche, like, majors, like hotel management or something,
that's
to,
so
like
random.
right? Like, to get into, like, UC Berkeley and whatever because, like and they don't even wanna be, like, hotel managers, they wanna, like, go and do, like, whatever, like medicine or something, but they're just like doing all of these like niche majors to like say, "Oh yeah, I graduated from like UC Berkeley. I graduated from XYZ." So that means like this Ivy League or that Ivy League will want me because of my bachelor's degree. And then what they have to do is like they still have to tie it to like what they want to do in grad school. So it's like I want to go into medicine, but I also did like a hotel management thing. So they have to like figure out how to tie those two together and then be like, "Okay, so look at UC Berkeley, look more at UC Berkeley than the hotel management part, look at all the cool things I've done at UC Berkeley and not the hotel management part, and boom, accept me into Yale. Let's go." And it's actually worked for some people. I was talking to a
That's
few people about that.
crazy.
Yeah, it's worked for some. And they specifically did hotel management, all three of them. And I'm just like, what is hotel management doing? So,
Yeah, what is hotel management? That's like me like going into like UC Berkeley and like managing and like not managing, oh my God, majoring in like freaking Doc McStuffins like architecture and then applying to graduate school being like, oh yeah, I want to be a doctor and I actually like majored in like Doc McStuffins like architecture. So like tying it like I just like it's like you're jumping through hoops like just to like which is so wild to me that people actually have to do that. Which is like it's so insane to me that you would have to do something like that. Like just to like what is it? Get like a seat where like you want to or like where you want to be. Like I mean, I'm all for like being very ambitious, don't get me wrong, but in the same breath, it kind of sucks that people have to do that
yeah.
just like to secure a space in what they want to do. And then there's just so many like there's just such like a surplus in so many like different fields. Like literally like ultrasound techs, lawyers, and then comp sci. Comp sci is a big one because when I started college, there wasn't a surplus in comp sci. But I remember asking people what their majors were because orientation week, you're like a freshman and like literally all there's left for you to do. All there is for you to do is just talk to other people like your age and just like hope you make a friend. But everyone I would talk to, they would be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm majoring in comp sci." Literally every single oh my god, there were so many comp sci majors, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, why are all of you guys doing comp sci?" And now that I'm, like, graduating, I think it generally was, like, my class, like, with my class, like, comp sci, we kinda saw its fall, where, like, now there's a surplus of, like, people doing comp sci, so, like, you have to, like, do internships, you have to do X, Y, and Z, like, just to get into, like, a good graduate program or to, like, secure a good job, like, in comp sci, which is so crazy because when I started, I remember everyone had the bright idea to do comp sci because they were like, "Oh, like, it makes really good money," and then even people I know who graduated a few years before me doing comp sci, they were making really good money, and it wasn't something where it was an issue with, like, the job market or getting a job in comp sci. No, like, it's really just started with my graduating class, which kinda sucks, but
No, I know, like, people who, like, do bachelors and whatever, like, they don't really have to do grad school, like, specifically for comp sci, like, they do not have to do their masters, but now because of, like, degree inflation, a lot of people are starting to do their masters, and those who aren't are, like, trying to get into what? Like, trying to get into MIT and whatever, like, in the undergrad and just get it over with so that they can just, go into the job market, like, immediately and, like, try to get their jobs before their peers can. So it's like a race to the jobs, which is crazy. And then they're also, like, trying to do, like, dual majors, so they're, like, doing, like, a major in one thing, like, let's say hotel management, and then what they're doing is, like, they're taking, like, a lot of classes at, like, Wake Tech or, like, these, like, community colleges basically to get their actual degree. So it says, "Oh, yeah, I graduated from MIT. Anyway, I'm gonna apply for XYZ job with my Wake Tech degree or whatever community college degree, but look at the
Oh.
MIT, look at that one." And then when they look at that one, they're like, "Oh, yeah, you graduated from MIT. Sure, it's not the thing that we want, but you graduated from MIT, so we like that." But that and also people nowadays, the degrees, like, I noticed a lot of people, especially in comp sci, they're not like, "Oh, yeah, your degree does nothing for you." Like, you literally do not, like, use anything that your degree is teaching you. It's kind of just, like, there to get you through the door. So, a lot of people, like, argue that it doesn't matter if I'm, like, taking community college courses along with, like, my Ivy League different major, because as long as I'm getting, that Ivy League degree, colleges, are fine and I can get my job.
That is so crazy that status or just a name can, like, bring you through the door, but it's crazy because that's, like, what networking is in the same breath. I keep using that phrase in the same breath, like, "Girl, hold your breath at this point," 'cause that's, like
Oh
I
my
keep
gosh,
saying
crazy
that.
statement.
But, what was I saying? Yeah, it's, like, crazy because even in networking, like, that's just such a thing where, like, knowing the right people and, like, knowing the right names, that will get you through the door, and it's crazy that it works the same way with institutions and that somebody can literally go and take credits for what they actually wanna do at a community college and then get the job that they want solely because they had a name of a school attached even though they were doing completely different material at that school. Like, that's so insane to me, and it's just crazy that people are having to find these loopholes just to get a job. Like, people wanna be employed, and it reminds me of this meme that I saw where it was like, scams used to be like, "Oh, here's free money, like, click this link for, like, a free iPhone," and now scams are like, "Oh, we have a job available for you," like, which is so true. When I get s oh my god, I remember when I was a kid getting those little scam pop-ups that were like, "You want a free iPhone 6, you want a free iPhone 5," and I was like, "Mom, I got a free iPhone, we have to put in our card information and they'll send it to us." Like, mom was like, "No." And now they're all like I literally got one the other day. It was like, "Oh, we have a job for you, like, base pay is, like, 25 an hour." And I was like and they're all MLMs. Like, please, I'm not trying to sell Mary Kay for, like well, it sucks, it's like you're not even making commission. You're just having to buy the product and then hoping to God somebody, like, pays you for it, and then you're just like you're not making profit, honestly, which is, like, sad. And it's sad because like, when people, like, try to, like, market the MLMs to you, they're always like, "Oh, it's such good money, it's such good money," and I'm like, "I can hear the desperation in your voice, it can't be that good money. The money cannot be that good because you're pleading with me at this point."
No, everyone's, like, so desperate to get jobs, and it's like, "Okay, so what the heck?" And I feel like I literally was, like, watching these Instagram reels, and they were all about, like, how Gen Z just doesn't wanna, like, get jobs anymore, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand, like, that perspective, like, there are definitely people out there who are like, "Ew, I have to work? Yuck, I don't wanna do that." Then they completely forget, like, the other side of the coin, which is like, "Bro, there's so many people who are desperate for jobs." Like, I promise you, if this person had a job, like, she would not be crying on Instagram Reels about, like, how much she hates her job. Like, she would be going and, like, doing that job. So, I don't know. I feel like everyone just sees, like, that one side of Gen Z where it's just like, "We don't want jobs. We don't wanna work. Why are we working? Ew." Instead of, like, the, "Oh my god, you have a job? Please. $7 per hour? I'll take it. I just need a job, please." And it's just like they're desperately begging for a job because they need one.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, the most negative people out of groups always get the most spotlight on social media, which kinda sucks, so then people automatically assume that everyone in that group is like that, but it's like, obviously, if they're getting that infamy, it's because they're standing out in some sort of substantial way. It's not because they're the spokesperson of that entire generation or that entire group, which, like, really sucks because yeah, it's just so sad because it's like, I don't know, I feel like I can't think of, like, a spokesperson for, like, Gen Z that's, like negative. I feel like maybe they're like a couple like pariahs.
Oh,
Pariahs.
wait, there's, like oh my gosh, who is that Clara Dow? Like, she was one. I think she's millennial, though. Like, I don't know. She's, like, not, like, related at all, but, like, she got, like, a lot of hate because she, like, lied, like, a lot about being skinny or, like, there's, like I don't even know.
What? How'd she lie about being skinny?
Or no, she
Like, girl,
didn't lie
let me
about
let me just look at you. Like, what?
Oh,
How do you lie about
wait,
being
no,
skinny?
no, I worded that wrong. Okay, she didn't lie about being skinny, but, like, she was kind of just, like there's, like, a lot of allegations against her, and she was, like, faking a lot of things, and she was, like, under a lot of heat. I actually don't know what happened with her, but I don't even know if she's, like, Gen Z, but I think she's just, like, a good example of, like, that's a negative person that can, like, bring down an image or, like, a 2. But also, like, literally, there were people that my dad like, okay, no need to flame
Your dad being the example.
no need to flame him, but, like, sometimes he'll just be like, "Envy, did you see this woman crying on TikTok? She does not wanna do a job. Envy, the AI will take your job. You need to be thankful for any job you get." And I'm just sitting there like, "Dad, I promise you, I'm not gonna be like that woman on TikTok, okay? I
That
don't
is
even
so
have
funny.
TikTok." And it's just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely like the small minority that's like speaks the loudest is the thing that everyone's like, ew, you know? It's like if I assumed that
Yeah.
every Southerner was like a gunslinging, like beer-bellied cussing guy from like the Appalachian Mountains who's like spitting in buckets and like going in the mines. And it's like that's not all of us. I mean, there's some of us, sure, but like that's not all of us. So it's okay. No hate to Southerners. I'm a Southerner. It's
That
okay.
is Maryland is like technically a southern state, but we're like the most northbound southern state. And honestly, I don't even consider us part of the South. I don't even know what I would.
You would have angered so many people from like Georgia and Louisiana with that statement. You had us in the first half. The first half.
If I said I was southern.
Yes. No, I mean
I'm a Southern belle through and through at the end of the day. But no,
oh my god,
I
no.
consider myself a northerner at the end of the day because I keep saying that. I keep saying at the end of the day and in the same breath, like, oh my God. Have you seen
Girl.
the whole Ash Trevino thing where it's like I need to stop because it's
No, Ash Trevino, she's crazy. That's another spokesperson, I guess, but, like, she's, like, kind of her own thing, not, like, for, like,
she's
a
her
generation.
oh, she stands alone. She's her
She
own thing.
really? Have you not, like, seen, like, those, I don't know, like, she's, like have you seen, like, those cheaters? This is, like, unrelated, guys, but, like, there's, like, this group of, like, cheaters, and they basically go and, like, they just, like, divorce their husbands to go and get new ones and then divorce it. Like, Ash Trevino's definitely, like, the most extreme because she, like, goes and, like, dates all these like people who were in jail, but like there's like this new like culture of like people just like going and cheating, like cheat culture, not cheat culture, hookup culture. That's the thing. Hookup culture, cheating, all that stuff. And I don't know. I don't think that's a Gen Z thing though. I think it's more of like a millennial thing, if I'm being honest.
Is it? I don't really know.
Me either. I don't know. Guys, we're not like that like well informed. Maybe Emily is, but I'm definitely not that well informed, okay? Like I'm not on these things that often. So if I say something wrong, don't quote me. Don't quote me.
I'm very chronically online, but I might be getting my facts mixed up sometimes, but I don't know. I don't think so. But honestly, like I might be like talking about one person and getting them mixed up with another. That happens to me sometimes, especially with social media. Like I'll see people who have a similar vibe and then I'll hear something about one of them and then my brain transfers it over to the other person and then I'm just like this person did X, Y, and Z. But then I'm like, wait, no, I'm getting them mixed up. Because
Yeah,
some
I've
people are like same person, different font.
yes, 100%. But also, like, have you seen those videos like Stephanie like L, I forgot her last name, but like she does like the everyone has like Botox, everyone has like filler. It's kind of like giving like those vibes. Like everyone is kind of like the same, where everyone kind of looks the same or like has the same font and like
The whole iPhone face phenomena.
yes, yes, 100%. So, how did we even get to this topic? Oh yeah, everyone likes a spokesperson for a group. Right. Sorry, we went on a little tangent, guys, but it's okay. But yeah, like literally everyone kind of just like everyone's kind of like sheep now. I've noticed that. Like, I don't know, like there's a trend and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I love that trend." And it's like we're sheep. But I don't think this is like a Gen Z thing. I think that's just like a people thing. I think like everyone
Yeah.
does
I
this.
think it's definitely a people thing because I think generally it's just human nature to want to be part of a group and to
Yeah.
want to be sort of included, I think. Because I know me personally, I have such bad FOMO. I hate feeling excluded from things. Like, even if I don't show up, I'm always like, guys, like, I wanna know. Like, I wanna be like on the in. Is that what the phrase is?
I wanna be on the in you sound like a millennial mom.
Oh, stop. Okay, never mind. I rescind my statement. But yeah, like I wanna know. I feel like low-key I give mom sometimes, like with the way that I say things. Sometimes I say something and I'm like, I sound like such a mom right now. And it makes me laugh. I feel like I have a mom voice. I don't know why, but I think that sometimes. I'm like, wait, I sound like a mom. Like sometimes I tell like someone to do something and I'm like, I literally sound like a mom. Like I sound like somebody's 38-year-old mother telling them to go do their laundry. I genuinely feel like I sound like that sometimes. And I don't know why.
My
It's a
gosh,
very specific thing, but I sometimes I get scared that I'm perceived that way. Because everyone always thinks I'm like older than I am. They're always like, it's funny because I TA for a class, and then I remember one of the girls, like, she asked me how old I was, and I was like, "Oh, I'm 21." She's like, "What?" She's like, "You're my age?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Girl, how'd you think I was?" And she's like, "I don't know." She's like, "You act like so much older." And I was like, "Oh." Which isn't a bad thing, but it's, like, crazy to think that that's how I'm perceived because I've always felt that I give off that, like, older vibe, and now, like, I have that confirmation, so I'm like, "Okay," like, at least I know that the way that I perceive myself as the way that I'm projecting, because I think what would scare me if there was, like, a misalignment in that, and if I thought of myself as one way, and then people were like, "No, you're not like that at all," and I would just be like, "What?" Like, no, then who am I then? Who am I? Am I who I think I am, or am I the way that I'm perceived?
oh my gosh, no, that's, like, another thing I've noticed, like, I guess with, like, being a young adult and, like, going through, like, those changes, it's kinda like, wait, now you're, like, trying to figure out your whole self-identity. I think we were talking about that in, like, the episode with Leah and the whole imposter syndrome thing. We were talking about how self-identity is something that everyone kinda, like, goes through, and I feel like building that
Um,
and, like, building that image and also, like, how you see yourself is also kind of a difficult thing because it's like now you're an adult. Now you kind of, like, stand for yourself, speak for yourself, have yourself as your own person. I mean, like, you had it before, but, like, you were kind of still, like, a kid. Now it's like official, like on like documents official. What you say is like your thing. So it's like, wait, how am I perceived? And do you feel like you're more conscious of that now or when you were a teenager? Like, have the hormones like impacted that, or is that kind of just a growing up thing?
um, honestly, I was so much more self-conscious of the way that I was perceived when I was a teenager. It was bad. You know that one song, "Everything Is Embarrassing" by Sky Ferreira?
Wait, yeah, yeah, I do.
I that was, like, my life, and I was a Tumblr kid too when I was a preteen, I was a Tumblr kid. So, I loved that song, and I lived it and I breathed it because everything was embarrassing. Literally everything was embarrassing. I could breathe in someone's direction, I would just be like, "Ugh, I'm so cringe." Like, I just couldn't stand it. And I don't know, it's one of those things where oh, and then I remember I learned about this one thing in my AP Psych class, the whole, like, false audience, I think that's what the term is, where you feel like you're being watched even when you're alone. So, like, sometimes you get embarrassed when you're alone because, like, you have that, like, fake audience or that false audience. So, like, it's something that's very specific to adolescence, and apparently people grow out of it once they're out of their early 20s. I still have it though, but not as often as I used to because when I was a teenager, I always had it. If I was alone, I kind of felt like I was in a movie and like everyone was like watching me and everyone could see what I was doing. So even if I was alone and I did something that I thought was like cringe, I would get really embarrassed. And sometimes now I do. But I think it's more so just me cringing at myself most of the time. But then every once in a while, I'll get that like false audience and I'll feel like I'm in a movie and, like, somebody's watching me, and I'm like, "Ugh, that was, like, so embarrassing of me," and, like, yeah, and it's funny because I was actually, like, telling somebody that the other day. I was like, "Sometimes I feel like I'm literally, like, the corniest, cringiest person, like, on planet freaking Earth, and I hate it, and I don't know why." Like, sometimes I do, but not as often as I used to, just sometimes. And she was like, "What? You're actually, like, the least cringy person I know," and I was like, "Stop. That means legitimately the world to me. That is honestly the most flattering thing someone could say to me. No lie. But yeah, I don't know. Is it similar for you? Like, do you get that false audience thing? And like, are you also like more self-conscious or self-conscious? Because when I was 16, oh my God, everything, literally everything was embarrassing.
No, honestly, like, I feel like when I was younger, surprisingly, I was a lot more self-conscious, and that's because I was really isolated growing up. I didn't really have that many friends. I'm an extrovert, but, like, growing up, it was just I was always in my room and I would never really go out, and it was kind of just, like, really depressing. So now I feel like I'm going through the whole thing of, "Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get friends and go out there and be social." So I don't really have, I guess, the time to go and be like, "Oh my god, I suck," and whatever. But then sometimes it'll just, like, come out, and it'll stay for, like, a week or 2 of me just being like, I am the most horribly cringy and pathetic person ever. What the heck? So it's like this weird wave of like 4 weeks of high, like a whole month of high, and then like 2 weeks of just I am horrible. Oh my god. And that's just the thing. And the thing is when it's like high, it's like really high. Like I can be like the cringiest,
Oh,
weirdest
same.
person ever. And then the 2 weeks, girl, I'm dead. Like I'm actually like not okay. I'm like sitting in my bed just like replaying everything. I can't sleep until like 1 a.m. just replaying everything I'm doing. And I'm just like, why did I do that? What the heck? And it's just like killing me inside. Do you feel that way like sometimes?
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. Can you imagine? I was like, "No, I don't. I think that's just a you thing."
It's
Like,
just
can
a
you
you thing.
imagine?
Oh my god, no, I could not.
No.
That'd be so
But
crazy.
no, I feel you because not gonna lie, that is me sometimes, and I thought it was just something like, you grow out of because I remember, like I was saying in my AP Psych class, they told me that you grow out of it once you're in your early 20s. I mean, I am in my early 20s. I don't consider people being out of their early 20s until they're 24, so, I mean, I might have to, like, update you guys, like, once I'm, like, 24 and be like, "Hey, guys, I don't have the imaginary audience thing anymore." But, yeah, I still get it sometimes, and honestly, I thought the whole cringing at yourself thing would stop after a while because honestly, when I was 19, I do remember it was really, really bad. I don't think it stopped until I was like 20. I mean, it has not completely stopped, but it's lessened since I was 20. And I think for a long time, I thought I was like the only person who felt that way until Olivia Rodrigo like came out with Guts. And what was that one song? A ballad of
Oh my god,
a
I love that
homeschool
song.
girl.
I love that song so much.
Me
Everything
too.
I do is tragic, every guy I like is gay. Like, yes, I love
Yeah.
that song. Oh my god.
No, yeah, and I remember when she came out with that, I was like, "This is so relatable," and I thought I was the only person who felt that way, and I was just so happy to know that I wasn't, and yeah, and then I think I still feel that way sometimes, and I thought it would like, I keep, like, going back to this point, I thought it would stop, but what I'm trying to get at is that when I was in high school, when I was a senior, I was really close with one of my teachers, and I remember, like, she said this one thing, and for some reason, it just made such an impression on my brain, even though it was such a minimal comment. She was, like, telling me how, like, sometimes, like, she's, like, cringes at herself or, like, the things that, like, she, like, does, and she was telling me how, like, she still, like, cringes at things that she did last year, and that, like, it's just, like, a continuous, like, cycle, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that's literally me." I look at myself, like honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like when I was 19, I was, like, the coolest version of myself. 19-year-old Emily, like, she was the coolest, like, she's cooler than me now, and she is probably way cooler than 16-year-old Emily, like, 19-year-old Emily was, like, the coolest Emily out of every version that's existed of me. So she's the exception, but everyone else I cringe at. Every other age of myself I look back on and I'm like, "Oh my god, I am so embarrassing." And I know next year I'm gonna look back right now and be like, "Yeah, I was embarrassing." And I'm just not gonna live up to no, I shouldn't say that. That's negative. I want to live up to 19-year-old Emily's, like, standard of cool, but I don't know how to get there. And it sucks because I can't really ask her for advice either, so but yeah, do you feel that way too? Like, I mean, I do this thing where I, like, see myself every age is a different version of myself, or, like, I group certain periods of my life together as a certain version of myself, and it almost feels like that's a different person, but, like, related to me. Do you do that too, or is that just me?
Okay. That's honestly a really cool thing. I've actually never thought of doing it, so it is just a you thing, but that's like, actually a really cool way of looking at it. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But like, I was literally talking to my friend about that. I think like a week or two ago, and basically, she was like last year, she was so cool, like in her opinion, and she was like, I was like making candles, and I was like at all of these like indie art shows, and I was like having like the most like amazing time of my life. I was like living it up, and I was like, girl, why don't you just like do what you were doing? But like just like embody that. Like you don't necessarily have to go make candles and everything unless you want to. But it's kind of just like what was that one quote? It's like live every day. Like it was like that one movie quote. I don't even know. But it's like live every day like you were her. Like live all of I guess like your life, just like as if you were her. Like, what did she wear that day? What did she like do that day? You don't have to do that, but it's like, what vibes did she give off? Embody those vibes in every day, and then just like try to live up to that, like idolize her, and then eventually you'll find parts of yourself becoming more like her. It's like find all the things that you loved about her and like try to do it. Like so, my friend, she's just like made candles, and then she like made her own like dresses and stuff like that, and she was like, "Girl, I'm living the dream again. I have it all back," and I was like, dang, okay, that took a week. That's crazy. But it's like, yeah, she was embodying the vibe and then she got it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe I need to do that again. But honestly, I don't even know what it is about 19-year-old me that just fascinates me so much. I think it was the style, the media that I
Make a
was
mood board.
consuming.
Yes. Make a
I
Pinterest
need
mood
to.
board about her.
I was really into movies and like film in general during that time period. I watched a lot of Wes Anderson. I watched a lot of A24 and I'd watch a lot of film analyses. And I just listened to such cool underground music. Like all of my playlists were just like all of these awesome songs that were just so low key. Like I had such an individuality complex, but whatever. Yeah, do you know that song Disco by Surf? I like would listen to that all the time. It was really popular. It was a trend on TikTok. Or is it Surf by Disco? Let me
I
search.
wait, hum it. If you can like play it, then I probably know it. I just don't know the
I
name.
can't even sing it. It's so embarrassing. It's a but let's see. Is it Surf? It's Disco by Surf Curse. That song. I
Oh
would listen to that all of the time. I remember when I was like 19, and I think it blew up last year, if I have the timeline correct. But I remember I was like, oh, guys, like I used to love that song. And it just reminded me of 19-year-old me and how literally I was so cool and I was always going to antique shops. I feel like I got all of that hand was so swift. I feel like I've got all of my best antiques during the time when I was 19 because I had the coolest hobbies. I literally got my Turkish mosaic lamp when I was 19. I don't know if you can see it, that little I think it's called cloisonne. I think that's how you pronounce it. My little like Chinese like cloisonne vase. I got that when I was 19 as well. Literally all the cool vintage stuff that I have, I got when I was 19. And I just had such cool interests. And I'm like, I need to channel that again. But I think I had more free time. So I think that's what it was too.
my gosh. Maybe it's like a Gen Z thing or maybe it's like a growing up thing, but I've noticed that a lot of like 20-year-olds and like I guess my cousins and whatnot who are like that age, they tend to be more like nostalgic. They're like, oh my gosh, when I was like 16, yeah, I was a dork, but like I had some pretty cool moments. And it's just like the nostalgia thing of like, oh my God, back when I was a kid. And it's like, girl, you are not 54. Do not sound like you're 54. But you know what? I mean, like now that like, we're talking about it, I can understand. It's like, yeah, maybe it's like a 2 year difference between like your coolest self and you, but like I
It
guess
feels
it
like
does.
a lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know, that's just honestly really interesting. Like I wonder like what I'm gonna experience. Like, am I gonna be looking back on like 15-year-old Unvi and be like, yo, what was she doing with her life? Or am I gonna be like, oh my god, 20-year-old Unvi, she's so cool and not weird and not a dork. That's actually surprising. I always thought I'd be a dork forever, you know? So it's honestly kind of fun. It's like a little time capsule. Oh, that's the other thing she did, my friend. She made a little time capsule when she was like 7 or 6, and then she like put all her favorite things in it and she opened it because she like turned like 16, 17, and she was just like, yeah, look, it's like all my stuff, and I was like, oh, it's so cute. It's like a looking back on the olden days and whatnot. Olden days, oh my god, now I'm gonna sound like you, Emily. Now we're
Oh
both
my God.
54. Oh
No.
my gosh.
One of us has to be youthful and like fun and lively. Like
I call being the grandma. Okay, I'm gonna own like 12 cats. You can be the lively one.
oh my God. I'm honored.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, we are coming out of what was I trying to say there? We
coming to
are
a
running
close.
out of time. We're coming to a close. Thank you. Oh my God, maybe I'm the grandma actually.
Oh my gosh, you own 12 cats, Emily. Let's go.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we are coming to a close, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Through Their Eyes Live. And we are super happy that you tuned in for this episode. And we hope to see you next month. Unvi, I was gonna say any final words, but that sounds very threatening. Anything else that you have to say?
Not much. Just listen to the song Emily recommended. recommended, and I'll listen to it too. But we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.